Nah, 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 nah. Hey,
What
don't
up?
be late to the party tonight.
Where at?
You know where it's at. Go ahead, babe. Nah, 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 nah. Go ahead, babe. Nah, 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 nah. Didn't I tell you to put the phone down? Uh-oh, somebody's gonna have to pay for that. Da, 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 da. Hey, for everybody coming to the party. La, la, la. Yes, I am serving you. I am serving you. And you better be at that party tonight. That's gonna be a beautiful sunrise. Give me that phone so I can throw it. I'm gonna throw it far away so you never see it again. I don't like phones. Don't miss the party tonight. Why are you still here? You need to be telling everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to a mental break. Thanks for tuning in. This is Deanna. Thank you to new subscribers. I've been going through comments. If I haven't gotten to your comments from previous videos, I will get to it shortly. For those of you who don't know who I am, which a lot of you don't, I'm a new channel. My name is Deanna. I'm a psychiatric nurse. I've been a psychiatric nurse for over 20 years now. I worked on high profile cases and cases that's been in the news. I work with children all the way up to the elderly. I've worked with the top psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, and psych techs in my town. Now, having said that, let's jump right into the video. I put the video in the beginning so that you guys can see, what's the newest thing popping up. So let's talk about it. All right, here on a mental break, we take viral stories and we break them down to what makes sense. Uh, Whether we hold someone accountable or do they actually have a mental illness. Well, we saw the video with Lil Nas X. Now, me being a psych nurse, I've dealt with drug and alcohol for years now, also with psych. Now, let me just say this. Nas X walking down the street in his underwear, like this, people would think at first glance, yes, he's on something. And I'm not saying he's not. In order for me to determine if he actually was on substances, he would have to have, of course, a toxicology report done. But also, there are certain tests that we can also do that doesn't involve, uh, blood or urine to tall tale signs of narcotic use. And so that's why I said I don't know if this is actually true or not. And the reason why I say that is because when you're dealing with celebrities, Hollywood, a lot of times when these celebrities are not getting booked or they're not, in the limelight or in social media, or if they're not getting enough attention, a lot of times they stage things to bring attention upon themselves just to get the light shine on them, hopefully that they'll get work. Like these are the things that happen within this community. And I know this to be true because I have worked on, like I said in my intro, high profile cases, which includes in the celebrity world. I have dealt with quite a few people. Like when I say quite a few, at least more than five that are either connected to the entertainment industry, and I've also worked with a couple people who were in the entertainment industry. And what happens is these people in this world, let's go back to Little Nas X back when he had his top hit. He had that hit, what, the Old Town Road or whatever that country song was. That was like the height of his career. I believe he had something else after that, but I don't think it did as well. And there has been some issues and controversy with him off and on during that time. People were questioning, was he really gay? He had that whole thing with the shoe, with the blood, the sneaker with the blood in it. It was like this whole little thing back and forth. And then you haven't seen much of him after that. So it's like, it's hard to say. I'm not saying this is not true because, again, I don't know. And I think what's going to happen is if nobody comes out with a hospital report or a toxicology report or anybody reporting that he tested positive for, some sort of substance, then we don't know what this is. Because a lot of times, like I said, these people, they do things to bring attention to themselves. And if it's not for attention and it is true that he's using some sort of substances, it is very sad because what happens with people like this, when you have people with one hit wonders and people that have rose to fame quickly and then you don't hear about them no more, it's hard for them to adjust after that because I've dealt with people in the celebrity world, and when you go into the celebrity world and you are around all these other celebrities, you're going to high end places, high end dinners, going to mansions, shopping sprees, Grammy Awards or Emmys or wherever you're going, and you're just in this whirlwind of celebrity status, and people are admiring you, and one minute you have the number one song in the country or the number one movie in the country, and the next minute nobody even cares who you are. And when these things happen to people like this, it's very devastating because it's hard for you to come down off of that when you are in the fame and the limelight. It's very difficult to deal with that. And I don't, and how you know this is true is even when you look at people in the social media world, when you see people go viral and, they have this celebrity status. And then next thing you know, you're here, that they're being evicted or they're homeless or they're having depression issues or substance issues or unalivings, different things like that to I'm trying to think of a good example. I think a good example would be Shiggy. Remember, I don't know if you people remember who Shiggy is, but he was an influencer and he went viral a couple times for dancing, and he went viral for a Drake dance, on one of Drake's songs. And Drake wound up putting him in one of his videos, and he wound up going on tour with Drake. So he was, making money. He was excited, and then he came out and said that he had lost money in an investment. I believe it was 50,000 with some African investor. I don't know if that's true or not. So I, don't, I'm not going to say that that's absolute truth. That's what he said, and he said that he was depressed. And you don't hear much out of him after that. And this happens all the time. It's plenty of influencers that were, became celebrities, and then all of a sudden you don't hear too much about them, and think they're just falling by the wayside, and people forget who they are. It happens all the time, and these people will do things to try to resurrect their careers or try to keep their name out there. So it's just difficult for people to deal with this. That's why fame is not for everyone. Everyone cannot handle fame, and because for some people, once they get famous, and if things don't go their way, or though they don't continue to stay in that limelight, they start spiraling. And I think this is what's going on with Nas X. I can't be 100% sure because I don't know if this is something that is attention seeking, or is this truly a cry for help. Because the reason why I say that is because usually when someone is on some kind of psychotic, you know, uh, drug induced mania of some kind, the fact that he had on underwear and white boots, I find that strange. And the reason why I say that is that usually when somebody is going through a drug induced psychotic episode, things are not that neat. When I say that neat, how do you get your pants? You got boots on but no pants. That usually was when you're going through some sort of psychotic drug induced mania. Usually things don't make sense. They're out there with no shoes on, or they might have on pants and no shirt and no shoes, or they might be naked. I've dealt with people that have come in that we have gotten from the police, like butt naked, that the police have put a blanket over them and we had to get clothes for them, that have been on substances that had them really out of their mind. And the fact that he was walking down the street the way that he was walking, and I'm not saying it's not real, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying for what I was seeing, it just leads me to have some questions. And I'm not saying it's not drug substance induced, because it could be. I'm not saying it's not. I just find it, for the experience that I have in this and the people that I have dealt with that have come into the hospital, because I've worked in a crisis center for drug and alcohol before, and I have people come in like this, and they're usually not that neat about it. They're usually not. They're usually very disheveled. Things don't make sense with them, because again, it's a psychotic, uh drug induced manic episode. So usually they don't have on just boots. Now it could be possible. He could have been laying in the bed, he could have been sitting there with his underwear on, and it could have happened, and he could have tossed his boots on and did it, and was like, I'm going for a walk. That's possible. I'm just saying, it's just a little questionable for me. So I'm not going to sit here and say that it's fake. I'm not going to do that, because I don't know, because things can present in different ways. All I'm going to say is that I've seen this type of behavior before when it comes to celebrities, and what happens when they are no longer in the limelight. A lot of them cannot handle, life when they're not the center of attention anymore, because we don't know the average person, you and I, that's just working every day, because I go back to work on Monday. Okay. I've been out a couple months. I took some time off. I go back to work on Monday. So I'm back out here with the rest of y'all, okay? So us working regular folk, we don't know what it's like to be famous and be in the limelight. We don't know what that feels like to be around other celebrities, to be rubbing elbows with these people, to be going to mansions and mansion parties, and being around people that you've looked up to growing up and things like that. We don't know what that's like. So we don't know how that's going to make us feel. We don't know what it's like to be like at the top of the food chain, where you're loved by thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people. We don't know that. So when this happens to people, it's very difficult when you're not still at the top, because this is why your Beyoncé's of the world and your Taylor Swifts, this is why they continuously put albums out, because they need to stay on top. This is why a lot of them do what they do. They come back because it's a need to stay on top. This is why Cardi B keeps putting out records, and even though I don't think her heart is in it anymore as far as rapping is concerned, she still has to do what she originally started with, which is rap. So again, this is why they do what they do, because they need to stay on top. Because they know once people stop talking about them, once people stop buying their stuff, once people start forgetting who they are, they know that basically the rest of Hollywood and the entertainment world forgets about them too. So they realize that. So that's why a lot of them fall off and wind up going into substance abuse along with other reasons. It's not just for that. The entertainment world has other issues, but that's one of the reasons. So I'll say that. So what I will say is that I wish Little Nas X well. I hope that this is something that's an isolated incident and he gets better. I don't like to see, anyone in a vulnerable position like the one that he was in, because anyone could have snatched him up and could have done anything to him. When people are in these types of states, anything can happen to them. And again, I don't wish that on anyone. So, like I said, I wish him well. I hope things get better for him. And I guess we'll, see what happens from here, because I'm sure someone will follow up about what happened to him and what's going on. So I'm going to close this out. You guys have a good one and take care.